Eudora Bates Richard, I work as the Minister of Administration and currently acting Minister of Mines and Energy.
William F. Conner,
Kevin McLean, Chief Operating Officer of Atlanta.
I'm Gerald.
I'm Henry Kane, I'm Country Manager at TrueLiberia.
Councilor Betty Lamilamo, I'm the Liberian Local Legal Counsel for 5 years.
Councilor Charles F. Kamode Saka, Deputy Minister for Economic Affairs, Minister of Justice.
Chuck.
I come 1 minute. I try to So we'll continue on Colette.
My name is James Colette, or you say James Colette. I used to use my mother's name saying I have not purchased her a car. They have my car, I'll take a name for my name. I'm privileged to represent the coalition number 2, Bond County. Mr. Chairman, members, please permit me after serving reduction to leave and attend to all administrative matters. Thank you, sir.
I'm Honorable Anderson Matthews, Senior representing the people of District Number 4 in my county and Kia Public Works.
My name is Luther Sandy Collins, representative for Apollo District Number 2.
My name is UGGM Collins, representative of District 5.
Bernard Benson Jr., representing people of District 17, as much right.
Alfred H. Flobo, representative of District 4,
Emmanuel Don, the representative of District Number 7, Montserrat County.
Mustafa Warike, representing District Number 3.
My name is Anthony F. Williams, representative Clio Republican District, Maryland County.
I'm Ellis Jordan, representing the people of Republic of Liberia, who care on us and they not doing.
My name is Stephen, representing Mr. Womber, representing people of District 9 in my county. Jeremiah, State of Representative District 1,
So while we're doing production, material
Miles, Deputy Minister of Fiscal Affairs.
So for the permanent chairman, investment section of chairman. So first, before we put our witnesses on the oath, I would like to formally welcome all of you to this meeting. As an important from the President, asking the House to ratify the legislation and concession that they have signed between the Liberian government and that of in this hearing, squarely focused on where need be moved, we will ask them to have their investments without much information. So I will ask the Sergeant Ham to please turn the finance, the different ministers are here. Transport and
Thank you.
and I see. So you can please before you pay them to the investors, are at liberty to observe the hearings because these are the people who sign the agreement with you. Thereafter, if you wish. This hearing is something I put up on the agenda and I was signed upon it.
You say no, Ledger.
Do solemnly swear that the testimony I'm about to give as it relates to the issue will be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So folks, if you just join us, I'd like to say
The
welcome
chairman
to
and member of the committee, the committees are qualified for the
live broadcast. My name is Yasa, and I'm the host of this live broadcast conference of the House of Representatives. So the House of Representatives Joint Committee on Investment, Judiciary and Transport, chaired by Karen Bamona host, Sarah Government, the management of HPX for publishing on the ratification of the concession and access agreement between the government of Liberia and Abu Liberia. So kindly stay tuned as we bring you the live broadcast.
You want to make any party comment or any statement? Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. We're fine.
So you want to leave, you can use this way, you can use that way. So we start with our hearing. And the Chief Clerk's Office, will you please read the letter of authority? Sarah? The President.
Letter dated October 15, 2025, addressed to Honorable Richard Speaker, the Honorable House of Representatives, Section Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to submit herewith for legislative consideration and ratification the concession and access agreement (CAA) executed between the government of Liberia and Ibamo Liberia Limited, signed on July 5, 2025. The CAA represents a landmark development in the modernization of Liberia's rail and port infrastructure and furthers the government's strategic objective of fostering inclusive and sustainable behavioral development. It establishes a 25-year legal framework giving the transport of Guinean iron ore through Liberian infrastructure, contingent upon requisite bilateral agreements with arrangements between the Republic of Guinea. The CAA conforms to the government's development agenda under the arrest agenda for inclusive development (AARD) and aligns with broader economic transformation priorities. Key components of the agreement include independent rail operator (RRO) framework. The agreement establishes a legal basis for third-party access to rail and port infrastructure through a regulated RRO model. Phase 1 access. Republic of Liberia Limited shall be granted real access for up to 5 million metric tons per annum on ArcelorMittal Liberia's Mineral Development Agreement MTA. Phase 2 expansion. Ivanhoe shall expand and develop new infrastructure to accommodate up to 30 million metric tons per annum, subject to feasibility and regulatory approvals. Upfront payment. The sum of United States $37 million has been paid by Ivanhoe Liberia Limited to the previous administration as consideration for development rights. Subsequent payments. The agreement stipulates an initial payment of United States $10 million upon legislative ratification, and a second payment of United States $15 million upon a grant of physical assets on phase 1. Community Development Fund, CDF. Ivanhoe is obligated to contribute to the CDF for local infrastructure, education, and health initiatives. Employment impact. The agreement anticipates over 500 direct jobs doing construction and an estimated 3,000 indirect jobs through domestic suppliers and service providers. I trust that the legislature will ratify this agreement, which is poised to unlock Liberia's infrastructure for shared multi-industry use, creating pathways for inclusive growth and national revenue expansion. Sincerely, His Excellency Joseph Human Boakan, President, Republic of Liberia.
Thereafter, there are several letters inviting the Prime Minister. So, colleague, we don't want to read the letters or all of them. We give them time to respond to questions.
Office of the Chief Clerk, November 14, 2025, addressed to the Honorable Minister of Justice, Mama Point, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Honorable Minister, I present compliments and rights by directive of the House's Joint Committee on Investment and Concessions, Judiciary Transport, to invite you to a public hearing for legislative consideration and ratification of the Concession and Access Agreement, CAA, executed between the Government of Liberia and Ivanhoe Liberia Limited, signed on July 5, 2025. The public hearing is slated for Tuesday, 18 November at 1 p.m. in the first floor conference room, House Wing. Mr. Minister, the CAA represents a landmark development in the modernization of Liberia's rail and port infrastructure and furthers the government's strategic objective of fostering inclusive and sustainable mineral development, as inspired by the government's arrest agenda for inclusive development. The public hearing intends to highlight key components below: independent rail operators RRO framework, the legal basis for third-party access to rail and port infrastructure through a regulated RRSD model. Phase 1 access. Ivanhoe Liberia shall be granted rail access for up to 5 million metric tons per annum under ArcelorMittal Liberia's Mineral Development Agreement MDA. Phase 2 expansion. Ivanhoe shall expand and develop new infrastructure to accommodate up to 30 million metric tons per annum, subject to feasibility aid regulatory approvals. Upfront payment. A sum of $37 million has been paid to Ivanhoe, by Ivanhoe Liberia Limited to the previous administration as consideration for development rights. Subsequent payments. The agreement stipulates an initial payment of $10 million upon legislative ratification, and a second payment of $15 million upon grant of physical access on phase 1. Community Development Fund, CDF, Ivanhoe is obligated to contribute to the CDF for local infrastructure, education, and health initiatives. Finally, Honorable Minister, the Joint Committee will have me inform you of its high anticipation of your expert inputs in the furtherance of the ratification of the instrument herewith. With kind regards, signed Libya M. Sayer, Chief Clerk, the Honorable House of Representatives, Republic of Liberia.
So this letter was sent to all of the land ministers. Such period will have to inform our Thank you. So what I will do, we will allot at least 10 minutes. At most 10 minutes, at least 5 minutes. At least 5 minutes, at most 10 minutes for presentation of this matter.
Tasha. Well, job with me.
Today is a very first engagement meeting on the request of the meeting head of government entities who are going to
This.
first thing is that in a much as we have this concession, we must have to have how we form our policy as we kind of decisions we want to take. That is why we have asked that the hearing will be public and we require where need be within the hearing. What we have heard, if there is any security nature of it, that portion of it will be taken into account. Up to the point where we identify that aspect of it, it is stated that this hearing. Public consumption. So we ask, and I see. If you have any document of presentation, can share with us. If not, we verify. Some can share with us. After everything is this share with us,
Members of the House, from your reading, you identified 6 topics to explore. Let me go straight into it. Issue number 1, independent rail operator. The legal basis for third-party access to rail port infrastructure regulated by our command. 1 is the implementation agreement between the government of Liberia and Guinea, dated October 11, 2029, and the government of Liberia.
Refresh.
When giving mining companies access to railroads on a non-discriminatory basis. If existing factor arrangements such as the NBA impose conditions on third-party access, GL integrate the non-discriminatory mining third-party access into amendments or the independent rail operator model is the favorite model for railroad evacuated mine product convenience to Liberia. The Executive Order 112, President Weah, that was dated October 17, 2022, now expired, provided for National Railroad Authority to appoint an independent railroad operator to operate manage, plan, and implement the development of the access system. Executive Order number 136 provided for the creation of a National Railroad Authority, but did not refer to an independent operator. The CAA requires GOL to enact legislation creating the National Railroad Authority and to conduct the process to appoint an independent operator. Existing ANL-NDA the CAA is not dependent on ratification of the Third Amendment to ANL-NDA. The CAA relies on the third-party access provisions of the existing ANL-NDA and provides for transition to an independent operator in September 2030, when the existing term of ANL-NDA expires, or the ANL-NDA is amended to incorporate this transition to an independent operator. The Third Amendment to ANL-NDA adopts the framework of the CAA. Number 2 in your letter to us. Phase 2, Ivanhoe Liberia Limited shall be granted rail access for up to 5 million metric tons per annum under the Ascot-Ital Liberia Development Agreement, NBA, executed. Executive Order 136, President Boyka provided for the creation of a National Railroad Authority independent operator. The topic is inaccurately phrased. Ivanhoe is granted access under its own access agreement, effective once it is ratified by this body, not a future grant of access under an ANL. While the initial capacity allocation granted to the CAA for Phase 1 project, which relates to the existing railroad, is 5 million metric tons, Ivanhoe will be entitled to apply for increased capacity allocation on the existing railroad, provided it furnishes satisfactorily railroad and port engineering reports supporting the feasibility of the increased shipping volumes on the existing. The conditions for Ivanhoe beginning to ship product include completing construction of the haul road from Guinea border to Tokade, constructing loading and unloading and storage facilities in Tokade, constructing loading and unloading facilities in Buchanan near the commercial pier, entering into a port operations agreement with the National Port Authority, entering into the required operating agreement with AML for completion of any necessary railroad capacity expansion. The process for implementing access to Ivanhoe relies on provisions of the existing ANL-NDA for a period ending September 30. Thereafter, Ivanhoe CAA will in place. Even if the ANL-NDA will be amended on terms consistent with the CAA. The CAA provides escalating monetary penalties if Ivanhoe fails to meet the requirements of the domestic shipping operations for the international. GOL will be entitled to terminate the agreement if Ivanhoe fails to satisfy conditions in 60 days. Ivanhoe's use of the rule of capacity expansion does not necessarily interfere with the Number 3, phase expansion. Ivanhoe shall expand and develop new infrastructure to accommodate up to 30 million metric tons per annum, subject to feasibility. Phase 2 or subsequent phase project under the CA relates to the expansion of the road pathway in Gordon all the way to Atlantic Coast, up to 30 million metric ton of construction of the new multi-use. The topic is not more than accurate. Idaho is not obligated to undertake this project. Instead, it is granted the right to do so, subject to delivering the necessary feasibility studies and meeting other conditions. There are escalating monetary penalties for failing to meet the project milestones, submitting the feasibility within 36 months, and commencing construction for upfront payment. A sum of $37 million was paid by Idaho Liberia Limited in previous administration as consideration for development rights. This is correct. Pursuant to the agreement between Idaho's parent entity and GL, Idaho paid $7 million in December 2019 and $30 million in March 2022 in exchange for GL's effort to grant Idaho's access rights. Number 5, subsequent payments. The agreement stipulates that the initial payment of $10 million upon legislative ratification and the second payment of $15 million upon grant of physical access under phase 1. The CAA provides a schedule of $34.9 million in concession payments upon certain conditions. $1 million immediately after signing, $10 million following legislative ratification, a total of $8,999,000 in three installments when an NRA cash, when NRA appoints an independent operator, and 1 year after NRA appoints an independent. $15 million for the date when Idaho satisfied the conditions for commencing operations unimpeded legal and physical access to the required concession payments and the $37 million upfront payments are subject to reimbursement on demand by Idaho if the does not meet all the milestones. 1. By March 31st, 2026, provide to Idaho unimpeded legal and physical access to all required infrastructure. 2. By March 31, 2027, provide to Idaho unimpeded legal and physical access to all required infrastructure, and with respect to any impediment caused by the concession year like ANL, if all necessary and appropriate legal action first response by the concession. Number 6, Community Development Fund. Idaho is obligated to contribute to the CDF for local infrastructure education and health initiatives. The CAA provides that Idaho will make aggregate annual payments to the CDF as follows. Effective date, first and second anniversary, $1.5 million. Third and fourth anniversary, $2.5 million. And fifth anniversary, amounts are subject to annual adjustment. Payments will be allocated amongst affected communities in affected counties, Nima, Grand Bassa, and Ball. The government will specify what kind of expenditures may be made from CDF for the purposes of promoting sustainable development, general welfare, and quality of life in the affected communities. Idaho will get credit for expenditures made for government food projects that benefit the affected communities. Idaho will not get credit for amounts expended to benefit its own employees and independents or to meet its investment obligations under the CDF. Idaho is required to enter into the community development agreement with affected communities. The CDF will be administered by a committee consisting of community government and Idaho representatives in accordance with the community development agreement and operating rules. Mr. Chairman and members of this honorable body, it is our view, NIC, and the President, that the instrument before you in negotiated fairly with our representatives, that the honorable House rules according to you should ratify.
Thank you again. So,
That's all. To remove the answer to the next subject.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members. Thanks for this public hearing on the Avenue concession access. Chairman has presented it. I will just show a little bit light on some of the key non-fiscal benefits of this agreement. The first thing should be noted that this agreement establishes the framework for future multi-user assets to the Buchanan market. From my opinion, policy stands, our railway is a national asset. The multi-user transparent and fair manner for all users. So the agreement, with that framework in place, it provides a pathway and funding for establishment of the regulatory framework. That would be to create a national railway authority who will have the responsibility for the development regulatory framework for the railway system. We also establish the process for selection of the independent railway operator through competitive bidding procedure. So they will revise the history of single user using the railway and everybody else using them. And what a benefit. Through this, they will provide a more certain path forward for all Liberian mining, agriculture enterprises, even near mining companies have access to bulk transportation resources, our railway. They will even pass uncertainty about ability and timing to use the railway. They will unlock investment in domestic mining resources, which can provide jobs, employment, local development, and second-tier economic activity. Third thing, there is provision for the expansion of the rail and port infrastructure owned by the government. Under phase 2 of the agreement, Avivo will have to expand the capacity of the government-owned rail and extend the existing railway as far up to the Guinean border. They also plan to develop new ports near Buchanan or be linked to the railway. And this can be a roadmap for us to also develop our other railway and port corridors in Liberia. You know, the Boma, and everything. That can be, you know, start developing it to be multi-user. Not only mighty entity, agriculture entity, or use and transportation. They will benefit development of mining, agriculture, forestry, industry, or commercial activity all over Liberia. The chairman has spoken about the social commitment by having hold the community development funding, so I won't talk much about that. But let's look at employment of Liberians. The preference will be given to qualified Liberians in all skilled positions. The goal is that 50% of management position and 50% of the 10 most senior positions will be filled by Liberian citizens within 5 years of the commercial operation. And 70% of management position and 70% of most senior positions will be filled by Liberian citizens within 10 years after the start of commercial operation. There will be training of Liberians. Environmental and social management plan must include programs for training of Liberians, citizens for financial, accounting, and managerial positions. And there will be preference to Liberian souls, goods, and services. Major contracts should be given to Liberia to provide and supply the entity with goods and services. We insist on that. The procurement plan and the reporting against the plan with penalty for failure to meet procurement target should be made available. So I just want to key non-fiscal benefit in it. Thank you, and with that, it is our prayer and appeal to you that the agreement be in the interest of the people of Liberia, government of Liberia, for future generation, unborn generation. You, in your wisdom, will rectify it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, and thank you to members of the House Joint Committee. So the Chairman of the NRC and our convener of the IMCC stated most of the issues, so I will skip those. Those are specifically referenced to the concession payments. That includes sign-on bonus and other subsequent payments and the community development, so I will skip that. I will just say a little more detail on the access payments. So the access payment are scaled, meaning there is a fee for the first 5 million metric ton per year, and then the next 5 million metric ton has a different rate, and so on and so forth. So the first 5 million metric ton go for $1.95 per ton, and then the next 5 will be for $1.85, and then the next 5 will be $1.75, and then between 15 to 20 million metric ton it will go for $1.65 a ton. So, and then above 20 million metric ton it will go for $1.55. The application is whatever volume they ship. Let's say they ship up to 30 million metric tons. Is differentiated within that volume. So the first 5 million of that 30 will go for $1.95 per ton. It doesn't mean that as they ship more, then the total rate per ton drops low. It's gradated up to the volume above 20 million metric ton that go for 155. So at any given point in time, even if they drop, and this was done so that when, for example, we don't lose when production drops. Because the key point there is the contract they are getting is to access the rail. The wear and tear on the rail must be accounted for. So the first rate, of which is a higher rate, accounts for all of the cost of maintaining the rail as a usage at whatever volume. And then this, according to the production schedule, they are expected to do the 1 million ton in the first 2 years, and then 2.2 million in the next 2 years, year 3 and 4, and then by year 5 they should be at 5.5 million metric tons, and then from year 6 to 9, 17.6, and then from year 10 onward, 10 million metric tons. So if we do the math on these different rates per ton, we can see that the overall expected payout from during the period of the concession, which is initially 25 years. And then taxes and duties, the fiscal regime, how did the agreement account for Liberia's tax regime? Apart from those that are specifically stated in the concessions, to which we made as a 10-year concessions, meaning where the team exercise some form of flexibility. For all other tax obligations, what we call the law of general applicability rules, meaning there is no exemption for anything that is not explicitly stated in the agreement. Income tax, for example, whether it's corporate income tax or personal income tax that will be withheld either by employees or by service providers, is all subject to the revenue code. Residency status, because there is a multinational operation, meaning, yeah, I'm coming to that. It's a multinational operation. They are in Liberia, the company registered in Liberia, but its operation is across the border. So the parent company, which is the SMFG, I think that's the acronym for the French rendition, will be considered non-resident as long as the mining operation remain confined to Guinea. But if any aspect of their operation involve activity in Liberia, then to the extent that they are involved in Liberia, they will be considered residents. And then input taxes and GST, for example. Capital goods,
that are needed for construction and other investment will be exempt from custom duties, but now custom user fees. Custom user fees have been for the purpose of the investment fixed at $500,000 for IRO payable in 30 days after shipment. So it's a foreign IRO that is being transshipped, but we have to do custom handling. Our custom authorities and our port people have to manage a shipment, record the shipment, they manifest and other things, and certify it as coming out of a Liberian port. So for the custom activities, they're going to be paying $500,000 for IRO only. But for all other shipment that is non-IRO, the regular custom user fees, which is around 1.5% of the value of the CIF value, will apply. And those concessional tax rates that were granted, which details will be in the agreement, we have a stabilization period of 15 days after the effective date. 15 years. So meaning, if for example a certain tax rate brought down below what the law says, that will only last for 15 years, after which the regular tax rate or whatever tax rate that will be existed at the time as amended by the legislature or new laws that will be passed by the legislature in that particular regard will take effect. And administrative fees are not stabilized because administrative fees are cost driven. Driver license, for example, vehicle registration, for example, and other administrative or non-tax or revenue. These are driven by the cost that government incur in providing those services. So those were not stabilized. And the chairman already talked about the concession payments that have been made. He talked about the community development. And maybe I would like to conclude on the anticipated revenue over the 25-year period. It ranges between 1.4 billion to 1.8 billion in direct revenue and this is taken at present value, real time, meaning inflation is adjusted for inflation, meaning the value of currency remains constant. So that reaches between 1.4 to 1.8 billion over the course of the period. And the basic component of that includes, or may not be limited to depending on what evolves over time, but as far as the agreement is concerned, this includes corporate income tax, other taxes and duties like what I listed earlier, GST, duties and other things, then the community development fund, and then there is a border and access fee. Now the border and access fee is different from the real access fee. The distance from the mine to Togada is around 26 miles or 40 kilometers. They will have to truck the whole there. So you are using the truck, it could be a foreign truck or whatever, to cross into our border. So that short distance, they also have to pay a fee for the truck to bring the ore to the railhead in Togada. So that we are expected to get around some amount of money over the period until at such a point when they see the need to maybe take the rail all the way from Togada to the mining site. Then in which case now it will just be the typical access fee from the border in Ikepa to Buchanan that we apply. So we have a copy of this, Roger.
The soft copy,
yes, we will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. So we pass on to the Minister of Transport.
Chairman, Honorable Legislature, it's a pleasing honor to be here this afternoon to talk about this agreement. Many of my fellow ministers and officials of government have spoken, They have captured almost all of it. So I will focus more on the transport side. I will talk about employment and benefits to the counties as well. Specifically, historically, we have a country that we all love. Prior to the war, there is a rail that comes from Bonn to Monrovia, is around to know which company had a particular opposite or whatever decision, whatever direction the rail is on. So as my colleague highlighted, $2.05 a ton, the first 1 million to 5 million ton. But let's break that down from a transport side. A regular truck is about 30 tons, the trucks that move the ore. Multiply that per truck, 30 tons multiplied by $2.05. That is what we get. Over the period, we believe this is a great investment for the country. And back on my previous point about the 30 tons per truck, with the truck we're looking at more than 10 million a year just on the first 1 million to 5 million tons. Kindly permit me now to talk about the job creation specifically in the transport sector, which I will go through for my presentation here. If you give me a minute. In the first year from the Liberia side, we anticipate the first, in 2026, we anticipate that we'll have around 370 jobs in Liberia. The following year, we'll have about 528 jobs. The following year, it doubles to about 1,578 jobs. The following year, we're adding 300 more. The following year, we're adding up to 2030, we'll have about 1,900 jobs created every year. That's for your constituents, that's for students, that's for other experts, specifically in the transportation and other sectors affected. We look at the medical side, obviously the health, the environmental side, you name it. I want to focus now on the benefits to the counties, because that's very, very key to you and very, very key to the people who you represent. If I can go there, quick. Go there quick. Go to the benefits of the county. Give me 1 second. All right. So throughout the agreement, the first 1 to 5 year, the 3 counties will benefit around $9 million. The following from 6 to 15 years, the counties will benefit around $50 million. 16 to 25 years, the counties will benefit around $50 million. And of course, 45% of that will be for Nimba County. I believe 30% is for Grand Bassa and 25% for Bon counties. So that is the spread. So as you can see, the transport sector will have huge benefits. And before I leave, let me stress one point, the point of our haulage. From the mine to Yekipa is around 43 kilometers. 25 kilometers of that is on the Liberia side. That will be developed into a road network dedicated specifically for the haulage of rails. You're looking at mechanics, you're looking at drivers, and also specifically an industry that we don't talk about, or that is not highlighted yet, the insurance industry. All of those trucks will be required to insure on the Liberian side, and that road specifically will be subject to all of Ministry of Transport road safety issues in all of our regulations that govern land transport in the country. So with these information before you, and plus the comments that were highlighted by my colleagues, I request that this body ratify this agreement as such, ratify this agreement as it is, so we can develop the rail network for our country, and we can create jobs for our people, and we can have employment opportunities as well. And more importantly, the establishment of the National Rail Authority is all in your hands. So we're looking up to you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
So, Chairman, one small point that is slipped is on the text. Apart from iron ore, for which we have this sliding scale of access fee ranging from $1.95 to $1.95 to $1.55. They will also be shipping commodities from Buchanan up to Guinea or somewhere along the road for construction and other activities. So these non-iron ore shipments also attract access fees of 20 cents per ton. So that too is additional revenue that we expect, even from the very day before they even ship the first ton of ore, because they have to be shipping equipment to do construction and other things. So that attracts 20 cents per ton.
Yeah, Minister, so you didn't put any other thing. So we move to the issue of land. Okay, please send it. Please send it soft copy. We can share it.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks to other members of the committee and the press. From the Ministry of Mines point of view, we want to first say that the chairman and other speakers before me said most of what we were going to say. Usually, when you are the last to speak, you almost like repeating what the others are saying. But we want to just, from the ministry's point of view, lay emphasis on infrastructure, capacity, and increment. So we understand that the current capacity of the rail being used by AML can accommodate per year around 20 million tons. With the coming in of the Ivanhoe or the CAA agreement, we are aware that the excess capacity will be taken on by Ivanhoe over a period of time. And the fact is, this arrangement has AML committed to increasing the capacity. So in addition to what they have already, the carrying or the target is about 20 metric tons of ore, 10 million metric tons of ore. But when they coming in, there's a capacity of 30 million and they're only using 20 million, or the target is around 15. So that allowance gives the Ivanhoe the opportunity to also be a part of the rail and be a part of the transportation sector of the country will improve it. But the emphasis here is on how the capacity will increase in terms of our ability to not only provide the facilities for Ivanhoe, but also so that it brings in additional revenue for our government. So our point here is that this agreement is something that will benefit the country, not only providing jobs, not only providing not only providing the capacity to do more, but it also gave room for multi-user accommodation. So in addition to transportation of the ore from Guinea, because it's Guinea iron ore, that we are providing a way of conveying it to the port, it will also improve our transport capacity in terms of the rail and also Port Henry facilities. So at the port, we know that they have specific key available for the transportation of ore that is being used by AML, but it will also give us another port capacity or increase the capacity so that Ivanhoe can use a second key. And with the increment of the rail from the capacity of 30 million tons per annum, it can increase to 35 million tons to the 5 coming from Ivanhoe. And there is a part of the agreement that speaks to feasibility studies. In the agreement, it provides that with feasibility studies, there is an allowance for us to double the capacity of our rail so that it goes from 30 or 35 metric ton per annum, million metric ton per annum to at least 60 or even possible 90 million metric tons per annum. So in a nutshell, we're saying that the contract or the agreement is beneficial to government, beneficial to the people of Liberia, that it will increase our capacity to allow not only a monopoly where we have AML now, but we also have the opportunity to have Ivanhoe and other users to benefit from the rail. In addition to that, it will create jobs, not only in the transport sector, but also in other sectors like we saw we have in the construction sector and in operations, those jobs that will be provided. Additionally, the opportunities for users outside of even the mining sector, people that are doing business can be able to transfer their goods and services and even provide an opportunity for people to convey goods and even to travel by the rail facility. So on that note, I will rest and be open for questions, especially on the technical side, where we'll speak to the different capacities as will be required by the committee. Honorable Chair, I want to say thank you for your opportunity, and we look forward to your consideration of the CCA.
Thank you again. So, colleague, at this point in time, we will open the conversation, the hearing, to question from you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to ask question?
Yeah.
Okay, so you ask question. I just want to leave.
Oh no, finish my chairman.
So we'll open the hearing for question. I think it's a good question around the table. And
yeah.
What is your
No, we're protected.
Okay.
We're friendly and refusing.
Okay, so I'll begin with issue identifying people for question. Yeah.
Why did you receive this document 2 minutes to?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
It's like 2 minutes.
There are colleagues who have the concession. There are colleagues who the document was carried to their office.
But
it is only the
speaking to you.
It is
It's not my office. Yes, sir. It's not my office.
The chief clerk office was instructed to distribute this document. Some are even where did you receive your copy at his office? Other colleagues, some of them receive it at their office. So the copy you see here are those who did not deliver it and the remaining left here. So those guys, those of our colleagues that are not here, we are trying to share that copy with you for you to have first-hand information. But when you check your office,
when you have the hearing right now, we have first-hand information. How do we read this document?
You still have an opportunity to read before you sign the report. Thank you.
Think that what he's saying.
Information to the honorable gentleman from district number 8, Yes, sir. This concession agreement was distributed almost a month ago, and I believe every member has a copy. I have a copy, sir. So they just a summary.
I was preaching to the choir.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we start the question from you, colleague, I will. But we can start now. I will recognize Honorable Julie.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairman, fellow colleagues. I've been around in the legislature since the 54th. I'm privileged by the trust imposed in me by my constituents that I'm privileged to be here in the 55th. I'd like to say conversations about rail coming from Guinea to Liberia, HPS is not a first. So I'd like to make some inquiry because I know there were discussions before HPS today. The chairman, fellow colleagues, that made me to ask the Minister of Justice the members of the MCC are here. There was an agreement discussed and I think signed, if I can recall, about the name was the railroad project, something like that. But it was between Liberia and Guinea. Is the MCC and the Minister of Justice aware of that? And if yes, what is the status? Where are we about it? And today we are discussing around HPS about access again into Liberia. I think that agreement was signed on May 6, 2021 within the executive. Any idea? I stand to be corrected. Let me make that point clear.
Yes, so just a little follow-up because I think we're trying to find out whether it's right on the edge or not. Yeah, that's the information. The information college is in the 54th, I think it was 2021, we ratify a framework document. Yes, in 2021. So I think that's what you're referring to. So we want to know whether the status of things that we said that was implemented.
What I'm driving to is if you sign the framework document, I don't know whether it was ratified by the 54th or not. This is why it was ratified. Yes. So if it was ratified, are there not legal implications to it that we are discussing around the HPS about the same access? Please,
so
I'd like to know.
I don't know whether you got his question.
So the
question.
I'm actually just to be suspect because I want to know the legal implications about it. Okay, yeah.
I think you got the question, Mr. Minister.
Take us back into history.
Although we have a hearing on the access agreement, what his concern is about whether there is an existing access agreement. If it is existing, the access agreement of add-on have any conflict with that access agreement. That is the direction of this question. Well, if there's no conflict, if there's conflict,
the Honorable Jury, you are right. May 6, 2021, there was a full agreement ratified by the legislature. That agreement was between the two countries, Liberia and Guinea.
Correct.
That's the implementation agreement. So that agreement, Guinea and Liberia agreed that there will be transshipment along the rail corridor for the move of mineral resources. So you write that agreement there, but the agreement that is before you now is a follow-up of that agreement. Now, Avanlo HPS wants to use the road now. Also, just for information purposes, there's another company called Nepal Development Corporation that's coming to even have that's holding for access agreement on that. So that all of those good economic activity that is about to happen is because we have that agreement. So there's no way they are conflicting each other.
Observation. So one minute, just to support my colleague, the agreement here is more like a state-to-state protocol. This state-to-state protocol now allow commercial actors in both countries to make use of this law. So this law now, both countries recognize the need that Guinean products, including iron ore, can be shipped through Liberia. Now, Ivanhoe is now taking advantage of this and coming out to us, say, okay, you have an agreement. So there is no legal obstacle now to Ivanhoe shipping iron ore because of this law.
Information. So, Julie? Thank you again.
No, I'm not finished. I said
just the information. Yeah, you do follow you want to provide information that will be kind of put under observation or placed under observation. The information policy is that the copy of this framework document should be with the parties that have affixed their signature to this current agreement. So we we want them to provide us a topic. I was sitting here looking at the Justice Minister. That's an observation.
Oh, their presentation?
Yeah. Look, while I was looking at the Justice Minister, and when he spoke about the framework document, kind of like he knows nothing about it.
Then he said the transport minister should answer. So he was reserving an answer.
He alluded to existing access agreement. I want to look at it.
Framework.
So yeah, I want to say
framework agreement.
Okay, so because you didn't use it while you look that way. Okay.
Whether there is it access.
So what I said
different from framework.
So what I said was observation because I was
So I follow up to the question because we have clarity. I don't want us to proceed.
So one, there is an agreement, framework document between Liberia and Guinea. It exists. Now it is that framework document that Avanho is taking advantage of to move
So
on.
let me ask a question. To our legal people. Is Avanho?
No, people do a point. I think
yes, we got to be careful.
Yeah.
It is not referred to as framework agreement.
Implementation.
The framework
It's an implementation.
Framework agreement. There exists a framework agreement that was executed between Liberia and Avanho, formerly HBX. But this is called implementation agreement.
Yes.
We have a copy that was ratified. We have a copy here. So that's the only copy we have. We can probably give a copy to we share
Thank
with
you.
So it does not. There is no violation of any law.
Thank you.
It is the effort here is the summation of that effort that was initiated to allow this process to take place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Follow up. If that is the case, the nomenclature of the documents has not been clarified. That it is an implementation agreement. That is what I said. All right. I'd like to know, because it's informing of this previously signed agreement that HPS or Avanho is coming now to work with the Republic of Liberia. But again, let me just emphasize that agreement was between the two countries, Guinea and Liberia. My question now is for clarification. Is Avanho or HPX, however it is called, a registered company in Guinea or a holding company?
If you look at the framework agreement, if I may,
I would like for all of us to consider these questions because these will give us insight for us to proceed. And I'm
Do they have a
glad
parent company in Guinea?
Yes.
Are they a subsidiary company? Subsidiary company.
Yes.
I think that's the background. That's how the financial will giving it a civil word.
Yes.
But then any subsidiary company existing, if it about it or another group in Guinea is the parent company, then you need to provide those everything. So that a link. Go ahead, Minister. Justice or finance? You guys see the book.
Anybody can answer.
No, so let me try my French. Société de mine de fer de Guinée. That's a SMFG. Fer de iron. So that is a company that is doing the mining in Guinea. So Avanho Liberia is a Liberian registered subsidiary that will facilitate the access or the evacuation of that ore that is marked by SMFG. SMFG is owned by Avanho Atlantic, which is the parent company for both of them. The one in Liberia, Avanho Liberia, and SMFG in Guinea.
Thank you. We have a presentation of the documents for us to review them ourselves.
It is written at the back of the agreement. If you just look at the very agreement at the front, the ratification is there.
I'll reserve to come back.
Okay. So, Honorable Mercy.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I have a few concerns. And I want the Justice and the Ministry of Mines to help clarify. First thing is, thank you for the agreement. This is what some of us have been hearing before, that this kind of infrastructure we can reached at this point to say we want it ourselves or we want an independent operator. But something that caught my attention in the agreement that I want the Ministry of Justice is basically about the language that was being used there. Many a times we sign this concession agreement, and sometimes those languages that are inserted in the future, they tie our hand as government. One of what I saw there is in section 2.2 when it comes to the extension of this agreement if it should be ratified. It's written almost like it's an automatic extension. It's not conditioned to any performance or anything in the future. So I would like for the Justice Ministry to clarify section 2.2 of the agreement that was made here on
We just not read it from.
It's on page 29.
The agreement
Section 2.2 of the agreement itself. The next concern I have, let me just raise my two concerns for now, and then I'll resolve the rest of it. The next one is also section 5.6 on page 43, and I would expect the Ministry of Mines and Energy to respond to this. In section 5.6, it says Island Hole or HPL or whoever.
Inquiry. Thank you.
Inquiry.
No, he has an appearance before plenary, so he asked for an excuse, partial excuse, while his deputy is here. Thank you.
Honorable Jones. That Jones was Honorable Thomas.
Okay, thank you. My question would be more practical. And I'm a politician. We gotta be clear with that. My first issue I'm raising is maybe either the Justice Minister
My lawyer,
or no, it's like killing people in fire now, so don't go there. Yeah. So there is a trending photo on social media that carries the official office of Alvaro in Guinea. And I can share the photo with him to see. This is Alvaro office in Guinea. We have a ghost camp. And the investigation on the office shows that one old man is the only person that moves in and out of that picture. My question to this photo is,
can you please share with us the chat?
Please, I will do that right away. My question relative to this photo is, we have been in plenary and every other day there are issues with concession, bad labor practice, non-compliance. Is Alvaro one of those concessions that will put a lucrative picture in terms of what they intend to achieve and what they intend to do in terms of their concession? And then in 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, we run into the same thing where you will have committees upon committees going to do compliance report. So my question is, has the Ministry of Justice and other stakeholders done background on Alvaro in terms of their viability, in terms of their capacity? And the second question I'm tempted to ask And it's good that you said we shouldn't venture into the parent agreement. I have the whole dossier here before me. And most of my questions are going to come from this. There is an original document that says they amended and consolidated mining concession agreement between the Republic of Guinea, SNFG, and Euro NIMBA for the exploitation of deposits of iron ore. This is one of the documents. But my question relative to the CAA will be, if you go to the agreement section 27.7.1, it states that in the event that following the start of the development or operation of the project on the basis of the Liberian option, which is the TRLG infrastructure, will it become an optimal? I'm reading this now.
Are you reading the concession before us document?
Yes, exactly, 2.7.1. So my question is,
on the sole disposition of assets. Yeah.
You said 2.7.
27 or 2.7?
27.7.
It's a different agreement.
So either you give me a question from the agreement that we said that before now.
So the question is,
the first question that you got here, the question that has to do with capacity, whether they have done proper due diligence and the company has the capacity. What's the second question?
So this agreement goes to state that the Republic of Guinea requests SPS to use the TRLG infrastructure, and that Guinea will compensate SPS. That is the Guinea and the SPS agreement. So is there any provision?
Which document?
I'm just giving premise. I'm just giving premise. So is there any provision for Liberia to be compensated? Since between SPS and Guinea, there is an arrangement between SPS because they are doing transshipment. So we want the Ministry of Justice to bring us to see as to, I know I listen, we say job creation, we heard about the tonnage, but what more do we expect? Because we as legislators, we are making this decision and we got to go back to our constituents to make presentation to them. So what is it that Liberia as a country will benefit from this process? And how is the arrangement between the government of Liberia, AML, and HPS, so that tomorrow we're talking about independent rail operator, right? And I said something in session today that we talk about the rail agency, the National Rail, how do you call it? What the name? The authority. It is not yet established, and we're talking independent rail operator. Assuming, but not admitting that this document of our agreement is passed, maybe in a week or two, with all of the provisions in the agreement, in the CAA, that states that the NRA, the National Rail Authority, should appoint independent rail operator and blah, 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 blah. So where are we? If we're passing this agreement, and the rail, that should be the prerequisite that we should have an existing rail operator functioning in Liberia. Then if this agreement is passed, it directly falls in the lap of the independent rail, the National Rail Authority to function. So it's like we're putting a cat before the horse. We don't have a rail operator, no. Then we're talking about passing this agreement that's supposed to be regulated by a National Rail Authority.
Hold on. Okay.
You saying order to
I'm saying order to the witnesses. I get another ballot language. I'm trying to construe this side. Go ahead,
Chairman, because
Minister,
if
the honorable man has a question and he tries to land, let it align to that. And you have contrary view to what he's saying, you'll be given the opportunity to present yourself to story.
No, Chairman, I'm sorry if you feel that way, but what we are saying is that there are multiple issues that you're raising, and each of them have extended answers to give.
So you said you give an opportunity at time.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there are three, number one, the background, number two, what do we intend to benefit besides what you said? The third one that I stated clearly concerning the National Rail Authority.
What's the update on the National Rail Authority? No, they did.
So the relevant, let's put this in context, right? I understand, and Minister Han mentioned that in the next 5 years, Liberia is obligated to ASA of the MDA with AML. So in this agreement that we signed with Ivanhoe acknowledges that between now and 2030, the user and operator of the rail is AML. So, and also between us and AML, we also have a transitional provision between now and 2030 in the new AML agreement that will be coming to you. So, Ivanhoe acknowledges that between now and 2030, when the rail reverts to the government, they have to deal with meter as the user and operator of the rail. So whatever shipment they will be doing in that period has to be under the auspices of meter as the operator. So in that case, it doesn't affect meter's rights and privileges under the existing agreement. And Ivanhoe accept that fact. Now with respect to their compliance, default and other things, the agreement has also got penalties. Because the Minister of Mines and Energy was saying, spaces will be allocated. You have this much tonnage to haul per year. You have this much tonnage to haul per year. So from outside, we project our revenue based on those projections. How much meter is hauling, how much Ivanhoe is hauling. So why, for example, Ivanhoe said we'll haul 5 million metric tons, and then we say, okay, $1.95 per metric ton. That's almost close to $10 million that would be expected. Then they don't meet that capacity. They will be penalized because we don't want to have a hole in our revenue based on that projection. So the agreement includes penalties for default on meeting that shipment milestone. And even Mines and Energy also have penalties for not meeting production targets. So those safeguards are all in the agreement.
Sure. Thank you. The issue to the justice in terms of
okay. Honorable Thomas, you know lawyers generally are wary to deal with hypotheticals. This concession agreement recognizes that. No, I'm coming, sir.
But my question is.
No, you show a photo. You show a photo, but Republic of Liberia Limited is a company registered and incorporated in Liberia. They have an office on 9th Street. That's the office we have been dealing with. This agreement recognizes that, and it is dealing both with Republic of Liberia and SNG. Let me see the name. Yes, SNG. It is if you see the concession agreement, it says between the Republic of Liberia, the Republic of Liberia Limited, and SNFG. So whether Avivo has an office in Guinea or they have an office somewhere else.
The background of this question, the original headquarters of Avivo is the office that I'm showing you.
Thomas, it is the alleged office in showing. It is the alleged office.
But you say evidence.
Mr. Minister, yes, sir. I'll recognize.
No, you are answering my question.
You just are all together.
Okay. So it is in
order. Thank you.
Chair and presiding colleagues, to our witnesses. My concern about this is more legal, because when we were ratifying the agreement, the implementation agreement at the time, what the main area we're concerned about. I'm speaking to this because we were involved with it in 54. And it sparked a huge debate. The understanding that we got before we ratified was that the two countries, that is Guinea and Liberia, would agree on so many things legally before starting the main thing that we are discussing today. Minister, can you please go to the agreement, the ratified one that you spoke of, and see if we can
we are not speaking about the ratified agreement.
No, I just want to take a point from there. And to go to the point 3, the point is that, Chair, listen, I beg you. My point is that that agreement set the basis for the conversation.
That is why we want to focus more on this ratified document.
So, because of that, if you have violated some portion of that agreement, you will be having problem in the practice.
That's my point. If there have been any violation, you are not going to send a document.
So we need the document. No, I need the document. So you need to know, because in this document, right, they are referencing 37 million that were paid in the same same company, right? But they're not telling you document that we rectified before. So I would think that there's a need to sort of reference what we did that will guide us in this process. So we need to be reminded of that, because if you don't do that, you could fall into trouble with Guinea. Guinea might kind of say, look, we said we would have done this in the framework document, you did not do, and you went ahead and did this.
The information is that the fact that that document is a document signed on behalf of the country, it exists. The document before us is for us to add on that. Why it remains a fact that we have amended to squarely investigate it. The agreement, the implementation agreement that was signed before is before the House.
I just want to just reference it a little bit, that's all.
No, I don't want to go into it, because when we drag into it, there will be issues that we want to know about. I wish that I would get caught off. So thank you. Yeah, Honorable Judge.
My question is still pending.
Yeah, you answer your one.
Presiding, you said you are going to answer the two questions.
Yeah, after
June. Another one to it?
Yeah, I want to add to it.
Thank you, Mr. President, and let me say thanks to our businesses for the information provided. Mr. President, I want to join my colleagues to ask a few questions I will send to for the passage of the concession. I was around during the 54 when similar, that is the HPSD was brought. And some of the containing issue at then was the conceptual agreement between the government of Liberia and Arsenal of Ghana. If you were to reference that conceptual agreement, it gave exclusive right to Arsenal of Ghana. And as per that, it even delayed the rectification or amendment of Arsenal Mental when it was brought before us in 2022 or 2023, because the speaker again felt that that exclusive right to Arsenal Mental should not be maintained, giving rise to this discussion. For the fact that Arsenal Mental concession has now expired, we still have approximately about 4 years to the expiration. My question to the Ministry of Justice: what is your legal advice as it relates to an existing concession that we have giving exclusive right to a company that is already in operation that may be ending by 2030, and now we are coming out to
or let's say allow multiple companies to use the same road. That is one. And then two, my second question goes to the Ministry of Transport. I want to know what's the yardstick that is being used by the Ministry of Transport to correct the growth in terms of employment, because if I got him right, he said that when this concession is passed, there will be about 250 Liberians employed, and maybe within 5 years, if I got him right, we'll be having like 1,500 Liberians employed. It is good to hear these numbers, but in actuality, when the concession is passed, you don't see at all. So what is the yardstick are you using? Because for us, we want employment for our people, especially with the unemployment rate being high. So if you were to bring a concession today and say that, oh yes, about 1,500 Liberians will be employed, we will be very moved to pass it. But after the passing, the implementation part of it becomes an issue. And I hope the Ministry of Labor will have been here, because in recent concession have a way of signing agreement with the government and then later on passing on their responsibility to outsourcing. So companies that are not capacitated or that are not capacitated to handle the company obligation. I hope next time we're having such hearing the Ministry of Labor can be a part. My third question will go to the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Minister, does the agreement has any bearing on the 2026 budget? It means that is there any projection for this concession within the 2026 budget? If yes, I would want to know, according to page 81 of the concession agreement, precisely 20.1, where you talk about the cross-border transit fee. I'm asking this question specifically to know that we don't run into similar mistake that was done with B-Martin rectification. Because in the recent rectification with B-Martin was given exemption to not even pay the road fund. Today we see you saying for cross-border transit fee an amount of 10 cents will be calculated per ton. How do we derive the amount? They say international best practice or international standard that was used to derive this amount. If not, does the road fund also apply, or is the road fund embedded in this amount, or does it affect the road fund? I want to rest with this question for now.
See, you heard me clearly, so you can take your time and be respond.
So I asked to the Minister of Justice,
okay,
regarding the existing exclusive.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and members of the Joint Committee. As to Honorable Thomas's question, the Ministry of Justice, in conjunction with the IMCC, dealt with TrueLiberia Limited, that is registered and incorporated in Liberia, along with the Guinean sister company. Those are the two institutions that we are dealing with that led to the conclusion of this concession agreement. We are dealing with TrueLiberia Limited, headquartered on 9th Street between Cheeseman and Coleman Avenues on 9th Street. As to Honorable Jones's question, there is no exclusivity pertaining to third-party access to AM Health. honor the existing MDA, specifically Article 9, to deal with the government right to grant third-party access. AML at the moment honor its MDA that should be expiring September 24, 2030 is a user operator. They have been here 20 years plus, they have been user operator. But with the establishment by the executive order of the National Rail Authority and the intention to have an independent operator at the expiry of AML's MDA, it is envisioned that after 2030, September 24, 2030, there will be an independent rail operator that will govern the usage of the rail in Liberia. So AML does not have any exclusive right even under the current MDA. There are modalities that provide how third party can access the right that government grants it. In fact, as a matter of fact, in the current concession agreement that is before you, if you look at Article 4, Section 4, it deals with condition precedent. Even if this instrument before is ratified, it does not mean the next day everyone going to get on the track. No, there are certain things that must be worked out. There will be a tripartite engagement between Aviho, Liberia, AML, and the government that will lead to actually the granting of the physical access of Aviho on the track. All are laid out clearly in the concession agreement. The concession agreement is recognizes, it is in the preamble. If you look at page 2 of the agreement, in a whereas, page 2, I think D and E of the current concession agreement, the access and concession agreement, it also addresses and recognizes the rights of AML. You are quite aware our constitution guarantees the sanctity of contract. When the executive submit an instrument to you and you ratify, they become law. It cannot be arbitrary, it just abrogates it or invalidates it. No. Thank you.
So Minister of Transport. So I will use your question was how do we know the job that will be created or what they ask? Let's look at the broader picture. Let's look at the broader picture. Just from the government side, you're looking at a movement of 1 million to 30 plus million metric tons during the duration of the concession agreement. That would be a basic point. Border guards, you may need border guards. You may need custom officials. You may need rail maintenance officials. You may need port terminal officials. Simply from the government side. Road construction, you need people to help build the road. The 25 kilometers on the Liberian side. You need engineers on that road. You need cartographers. You need soil testers. I can just keep on and on. The rail construction piece, where they will build the capacity after the 5 million, after the 5 million that will build the capacity to get more usage of the rail construction, rail haulage, rail scheduling, the old handling piece. We talk about the ports. If the agreement called for that, they will build a specific port in Nigeria, next to the port of Buchanan. All the construction activity that will happen there, yes, that will create jobs for our people. Engineering services of those construction activities. So just based on these facts, you can just see that you just know that there will be employment opportunity. Mind you, Mr. Chairman, members of this committee, this is just an access agreement. Nobody is coming to mine anything in Liberia. We are blessed as a country because of our geographical location and where these mines sit. That is why only for our access we'll have all of these opportunities.
Thank you. Okay, so with respect to the implications for the budget, we haven't put we only have the community payment, and it is in contingent. It's not in core budget. So irrespective of when the document get ratified or not. If it's in the fiscal year, within the duration of the fiscal year, yes, the communities get that. And then, of course, we'll get whatever is the payment that is due. So everything related to this concession with respect to post-ratification payment are incorporated on a contingent component of the budget. So in terms of fiscal predictability and the credibility of budget execution, we can say that we are safe in that regard. Thank you.
Look at you.
Oh, okay. So I agree. Okay, so the actual negotiated access fee altogether was $2.05. $2.05. So of that 5 cents, 10 cents go to the cross-border access, and then remaining $1.95 is the real access.
Thank you. So before we take another, we'll take your own Apple.
Just a minute. We agree with all the arguments. We explain all the economic benefits of going proportionate to the few down during the Singapore project is the biggest in Africa but the other African countries. That's what I we want to know the relationship between Guinea and Liberia when it comes to money and another one want to know the distance from the Simanko and to where the company want to man now, the distance in between that, the distance from the Liberia. Another thing I want to know here is the security situation between the two countries. The protection between two countries will be a flow of human in between.
Can we please focus on the CCA before us?
If I'm not we are leaders. I have to ask a question.
But land on the last question.
So the last question
focus on the CCA.
When it comes to the borderland, when the money is made to Europe, why the protection would be for the place to Europe?
Thank you.
And what about the only
Thank you, Honorable. The implementation agreement between Guinea and Liberia that was ratified by this August body in 2021 is still the agreement that establishes and commends the relationship between the two countries. Until this is flashed out, but there are steps and processes in here how it can be resolved or repealed. But until that is done, this is the agreement that led to the effort that brought us here today. Guinea recognizes that the mountain that is both in Liberia and Guinea is closer to Liberia and Liberian port, as opposed to evacuating the whole from that place to Conakry. You understand? Because of our proximity, the mines Deputy for Operation and someone else indicated to you. This is not the only arrangement. This implementation agreement recognizes that there will be other efforts until the Guinean government tell us that stuff that was executed between Liberia and us, we don't desire anymore. We will not make assumptions. So we will not make assumptions. When parties exceed or two parties execute a protocol, they intend to honor it and abide. Until one party move the other party, so while we execute it, we don't want to honor it.
So information, sir. Information.
Okay. Your second question.
Information, right? So, sir, what you are saying, what I want to ask, right? Since you signed this document and we actually have a given report, our government sat down with Guinean government since we are going to the arrangement with our home.
I think a question is
A question, but let me answer it. There is no requirement here that we must do that. There is no requirement. Not this particular law that we have.
There's no production. Mr. Chair, just to add to my colleague, just to
hold up.
So this 2021 agreement signed by the legislature actually reinforces prior
foreign minister is not here.
Am I protected?
Go ahead.
This 2021 agreement actually reinforces 3 prior agreements.
Back to the 70s.
July 14, 1973, January 22, 1983, and October 25, 2013, all related to cross-border transit of natural resources and other products. So this would actually be the 4th similar agreement that acknowledges the need for products to be transited between the 2 countries.
Oh, but now,
Mr. Chairman, quickly.
Nah.
The gentleman from Judiciary Transport, please.
Do you have mountain in your district?
Let me commend the panel.
Take it back.
I take it back.
Do you have mountain in your district? Do you have mountain in your district?
Hold up. I do have a seaport. I do have a port in my district.
Okay, carry on.
But let me commend the panel for actually considering the future in these arrangements, considering development of railroads across the country and the multi-user access. I think these will definitely bring benefit. But I've been looking through this this agreement the past couple of days, this implementation agreement, and just speak back to my colleagues here. It is implementation agreement between Guinea and Liberia. I'm very concerned. I wanted to focus on the representation and warranties, like the last paragraph of Article 3.4 clearly states that each party warrants to take any action required to give full effect to the consensus reached within the inter-ministerial committee. Now, to the Minister of Justice, would you agree that unilateral decision is not supported in this agreement?
You need to explain, please, what constitutes unilateral decision.
On Minister, it's just a yes or no question.
No.
Do you consider that unilateral decision is not supported in this agreement?
I disagree.
Thank you.
Because the effort to make this thing work is what we are doing today.
Okay. Or could you?
Are you referring to a different?
Thank you, somebody looking at something else, but the one before is just for the rectifier.
I'm looking at
which one there?
You haven't answered my question.
The minister said he disagree. You got right to state it through your vote. Or could you?
Thank you. And let me say thank you to all of the speakers. What I said, what Bill is that if we are ever going to this agreement considering that there will be a time that resources will be you will still have access to mineral coming to your winners and providing contribution in your revenue. But presiding is now a huge responsibility. I've heard our finance minister telling us that as of 2030, there will be some shift, there will be some transition where AML
will now be turning over her responsibility in maintaining the roads. But the question I keep asking now is, from where we sit, the Honorable Minister from Transport and Finance, the day-to-day maintenance and operationalization of this rail, have we done the costing as a country? Because we know that money coming, or whether it can really match what we expect. What do you think it costs AML as she currently manage the rails on an annual basis? The other is
no, Honorable. For the first question, the chair will hold that question because when AML is before us, we'll ask the minister. The document before us squarely focus on HPMs.
I agree.
So please center your question on Avron.
I guess if you know that you can. But it's not possible to discuss HPF without aligning, our question.
Designing. I'm still discussing
this.
Yes, the information is that we have a document before us requesting the House to ratify a concession in a whole in terms of the terms that the government, the executive has agreed to. Look at that concession. If you are in line with it, we ratify. If not, we say send it back because of SRC reason.
Resigning.
No Jones.
Observation. My point is to run some real analysis on how to police.
Order on Okweju.
Honorable Presiding Police, with the information that we have gathered from this hearing, request, and then the committee can join this meeting now, go back and digest it, and then if there should be further inquiry, we can invite the line ministry.
So you do that in a motion.
Last thing, motion. I mean, exhausted the purpose of this hearing was short. I'm on second that the witnesses will be discharged and we adjourn for future
issues. Move the second that the hearing be adjourned and the witnesses will be discharged. When need be, they should be reformed for further hearing. And it was seconded. Are you ready to vote? I'm ready. Honorable no question here on the movement.
I have that movement. For the movement.
Yeah.
Readiness is I will be ready to vote if the movement can allow me ask this one simple question for final clarification before the adjournment.
Because there's a motion already into place. I want to humbly reject.
Thank you.
Already.
Honorable Thomas.
Already. I will be ready to vote. Presiding. Presiding. Yeah. Okay. Having consulted Mr. Presiding, fellow colleagues to the movement, I will be ready to vote. If you can kindly consider this simple amendment that our upcoming engagement with the stakeholders involved, we should kindly include.
We said where need be.
Where need be, so use the word for the lack of better word, where need be, that we can kindly consider the appearance of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, consider that we have a bilateral interaction between the Republic of Liberia and the Republic of Guinea and a foreign. What are you shaking your head for?
I'm not here.
But you can't lead, you can't be leading a movement.
I'm not here. You want to go?
I reject. I want to hear from you.
Already there.
I want to hear from you. Can't fire
I was scared to make my readiness so I can be seen who will shake their head. And I will quote the Minister of Justice about the system precedent, which in Latin is referred to scary diseases.
You gotta do it on dictum.
Thank you. So into the movement, giving a fact based on the system precedent that in the line of inquiry that I was supposed to be recognized and I'm not recognized, I'll be ready to vote provided the movement can give me the opportunity that the question about whether any company can come from Guinea without an official document to the Liberian government from the Guinean government based on the implementation agreement to say this company is coming precedent to this or that. Can any company come? That question should be answered next meeting. I'll be ready to vote.
Thank you.
Next meeting.
That's it. And the
For the fact that we have our secretariat which will form part of the meeting. I will say
thank you.
Those in favor of the motion, we say it pure. Those again, how many years?
How many years?
And the processes are discharged.